Man, I love this franchise. What's happening, friends? Welcome back to the Bankrupt Hippo YouTube channel. I'm Bryce, and this is my review for The Conjuring 3, or The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Went and saw it yesterday. In The Conjuring 3, we go on another adventure, essentially, with Ed and Lorraine Warren, but this time with a slightly unique obstacle. They're trying to save a man, Arnie Johnson, played by, I believe his name is Rory O'Connor, does a great job in the movie, from the death penalty. So the movie starts off with the exorcism of David Hatzel in Brookfield, Massachusetts. And in the middle of the exorcism, things start going wrong, everything goes haywire. And long story short, Arnie Johnson essentially inherits this demon. And then a few days later, he starts going crazy, murders his landlord. Think that there might have been some supernatural elements at play. And then now we go on another adventure with the two of them, and honestly, we have a great time once again in the Conjuring universe. There are a lot of things to love about this movie, mainly Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. As Ed and Lorraine Warren, once again, they crush it. Their chemistry is really, really good together when they're on camera. Even when they're apart, they both do a really, really great job in executing their roles. So I once again appreciated them. I never get tired of watching them. They never overstay their welcome. No matter how many Conjuring movies they're in, I never get tired of them. And honestly, I could probably watch them another 4 or 5 movies and still enjoy the living hell out of it. And what the movie does in this case is they do a great job of continuing to make them relatable people. We get glimpses into their personal lives, and it makes us empathize with them despite their supernatural and amazing, extraordinary gifts. So I really appreciate how the franchise continues to do that with the both of them as well. Another thing I liked in this movie was the obstacle posed in the movie. It's a subtle, but yet it makes it a fresh take on the franchise in general. They're trying to prove a man's innocence, that being Arnie Johnson, by claiming that he was possessed by a demon during a crime he committed. And that's never been done in American history before, at least at the time it hadn't been done before. This was in 1981, I think the movie takes place in. And the one caveat to that is the movie does point out it's been attempted twice in England, not successfully, but by doing this, it kind of avoids falling into the trap of, oh, Ed and Lorraine Warren go to this family who thinks they're being terrorized by a demon, and they help the family out. It takes that variable and it adds a little twist to it because of the fact that they're fighting a battle on two fronts now. They are trying to fight the legal battle, which is the American justice system, and they're also trying to get rid of and figure out why these supernatural elements are having an effect on Arnie. So it's really fascinating, and I would say that the movie goes on one side of the equation, mainly being on the side of the supernatural elements, which I think is an acceptable trade-off, because if they went too far into the legal ramifications, I think it would have not been playing to its strengths, and it might have bored some of the audiences who are veteran fans of the franchise. The movie does focus mainly on Ed and Lorraine and them being excellent characters in this movie. It also does a really good job of showing how Arnie is coping with the situation, because he's the one who's on trial. He's also the one in prison. He's also the one being tormented by these supernatural elements and these demons. He's fighting a battle on two fronts as well, and the movie does a really excellent job of putting us in his shoes throughout to really get us to empathize with what he's going through, even though, again, it's a very extraordinary circumstances that most people probably don't go through. So I think the movie did a really good job at excelling in that area as well. On the flip side of the coin, there's very little in this movie that I disliked. The only thing I could really point out that came to my mind, I've been marinating on this movie for about 12 hours because I went and saw it last night, was there was one plot point in particular that felt a little hollow for me. And it's a plot point that exists throughout the entirety of the movie. It begins at like probably 5 minutes in, and it actually stays throughout the very, very end. And it fell a little flat for me because I think it takes the concept of the suspension of disbelief too far. Now, as a movie fan, like, I totally get, like, sometimes you got to accept that movies are going to break the rules because that's what makes the movies that's what makes them really great experiences. But in this case, they contradicted this plot point way too many times for me to just straight up ignore it, and it didn't really add very many stakes into the movie. So I thought they could have done without the plot point, but it didn't really compromise my overall experience. Guys, overall, I think The Conjuring: The Devil Made Me Do It was another worthy installment into the main story arc of the Conjuring universe. I think that the main Conjuring movies, that being Conjuring 1, 2, and 3, are all very excellent movies. It sticks to the formula, that being Ed and Lorraine Warren battling supernatural horror elements, while adding in subtle little differences in plot and story that give it a fresh take and entertain new audiences that might be coming into this franchise, and also keep veteran fans like myself into it as well and on our toes at any given moment. And the writing is pretty solid and also does a really good job at tapping into the relatability of Ed and Lorraine, despite us seeing them so many times, and thus adds to our appreciation of them as characters as well. So, guys, overall, if you are a fan of the Conjuring franchise, you'll love this movie. If you're a horror movie fan, you'll love this movie. So, if you fall into either of those categories, do yourself a favor and go watch it. My score is going to be an 8 out of 10. This is a great movie and a must see for any Conjuring or horror movie fan. So, my friends, have you seen The Conjuring 3? If so, what did you think of it? Whatever you think, comment below and let me know. Thanks so much for joining me on the Bankrupt Hippo YouTube channel. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. If you like what you're hearing and seeing, I really do appreciate it. Thanks so much for spending time with me. I've been Bryce, and until the next video, have a great day.